Now we're going to change gears just a little bit. Well, I mean, it's still communication, obviously, but maybe you would say a big bit, because we're going to talk about intrapersonal, or the way we talk to ourselves, right?
Yeah, it's the conversation that we have with ourselves and the way we communicate and frame meaning for ourselves, which has such an impact on our state of mind. And I think our state of mind is so important. It's important all the time, but it's important in difficult times too. And I think we've all kind of experienced that, being alone with ourselves, maybe for those of us that are alone with ourselves during this time, that we have different conversations, and being aware of those conversations, bringing them up to the surface, and learning some skills and some ways to go about it that can have a pretty big impact on your state of mind, which affects your resilience. It affects how you feel about yourself. I think you inadvertently hit the nail on the head by saying there's always something good to look at. For me, it's about seeing present and future as having a positive outcome in the future, something that I want to strive to bring value, to create something that's meaningful, and focus. I'll go back to Covey, who is one of my stalwarts here, the 7 habits of highly effective people. Habit number 1 is to be proactive. And habit number 2 is to begin with the end in mind. Be proactive means you act on your life. It means you take an active role in your life and act on it. And begin with the end in mind means you have an idea of what the positive outcome looks like. So you think that it doesn't have to be yours. You can buy into someone else's vision. You can buy into just a positive day. For some of us, a great goal is to get through tomorrow and keep it together and keep my kids safe, or something like that. It doesn't matter what the goal is. Mm-hmm. And this is going back 30 years in my coaching training, which is, what's important is that you focus on working from the present to the positive future outcome. And you keep your attention there and focusing on, what can I do now? How can I move the ball forward? How can I continue down this pathway that's going to get a more positive outcome? Can I control everything? No way. None of us can. The only thing that you can control are your thoughts, your words, and your deeds. So you focus on those things that's in the coaching world, that's called the gap. It's called coaching in the gap. We need to understand what's presently happening and where you're wanting to go in the future, and then get as much of our attention as possible into that space in the gap. And as you're asking questions that help you move forward in that, it changes your physiology. And it also gives you, I don't know that I'll get the quote right, it's a Jordan Peterson quote, but meaning in life comes from the voluntary acceptance of responsibility. Right. That's proactivity. That, to me, that's the definition of proactivity, is you voluntarily say, look, I'm going to act on this thing and try to make something positive come about. And it keeps you engaged with, suffering comes from feeling like you have no agency, like there's nothing that you can do to move things forward. And I think hopefully with this module and with the communication training that we've developed here, it helps you use your own communication skills to stay focused in that gap and to move forward.
Yeah, and it's for those that are listening and saying, well, I've heard that talking to yourself isn't, that might not be a good thing. I promise you that some of the most successful, and maybe all of the most successful people in the world, all talk to themselves because they self-coach. That's what Dale's really talking about here. That's what you're talking about, right. Self-coaching, and that is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Self-coaching is basically giving yourself tips along the path, right? Staying in that gap and giving yourself suggestions on how to get back, because we're all going to get off target at some points. We're all going to have those days where everything went wrong. And it takes some time to feel bad about it. Let the tears go, get those things out, and then stand up. Chin up. There's work to be done. Focus on I like that term, chin up, because it implies that you've got to get your eyes out on the future, as opposed to there is a posture and a physiology to depression and disempowerment, and it's shoulders down, it's chin down, and head down. Can't see where you're going. You're just waiting to be pummeled on. If you get your chest up, your chin up, and you're looking out into the future, then you're more poised to take action. You're ready to do something about it. So your body has a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, and in those moments, don't be afraid to eat some ice cream too. It always helps.
Any particular kind?
All right. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to now that you opened the door, I'm going to do a quick shout out to Shirley Ray's Ice Cream and Lunch Place, small business in Arcona, down off of Lisburn Road near Mechanicsburg here. They make their own ice cream from scratch. And I was down yesterday and had tandy cake, and it's actually has pieces of tandy cake broken up, and it's phenomenal. You got to check it out.
Nice.
Great job, Shirley Rays. We love you. Sorry.
No, that's good. I asked. I was curious. Yep. So I want to go back to give a quick definition of empowerment and what I mean by that, because I want to stay focused on it and simple. Empowerment is basically the authority or power to do something. It's the power to act. And what an empowered state of mind means, it gives you giving yourself permission and the authority to act in a given moment, to act on your life. So that's the proactivity piece of it. And when we talk about the way that affects your intrapersonal communication, it's the habits of doing it. It's not the most difficult time to pull yourself out of a disempowered state is when you're in a disempowered state. Mm-hmm. This is going back to the gym concept, right? That's the most difficult time to do it. So the building of the muscle comes from daily practice, daily activities, simple things like expressing gratitude on a regular basis. Make expressing gratitude, not just thinking grateful, but expressing gratitude on a daily basis lifts your spirits. It gets you focused, which is a term you've used a couple times, gets you focused on the things that are positive or you're grateful for, which helps you to have resilience when you're moving forward. So expressing gratitude is a really big one. We talked about questions already. I guess to summarize all of this, the main thing that I want to say is to keep your thoughts, your words, and your deeds aligned within that gap.